Okay. Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming. Number one, I want to, this is kind of a interesting question that's been thrown out there in the media, especially with football, is about recruiting, right? And what time of the year is important for recruiting? Well, in our sport, it's all during the year. It doesn't matter if it's the summer when we're out looking players or evaluating them during the dead periods. It doesn't matter. Recruiting is the lifeblood of our program. And so for us to be successful here and maintain what's been done here before and the trips to Omaha, we have to be good in that arena. So it's a really important time of the year, and it's an exciting time for us to finally get these guys to sign the letters and get it done. Obviously, I came in July, so the timeline was shorter than most years we're going to have. And as you guys know, we recruit kids now all the way as young as the 8th grade. So some of these kids that were committed to the school before I got here decommitted, and some came back to us, and some didn't. And we had to go out and work very hard. Trip Couch and Dave Lawn and myself feel like we put together a really good class. Pitching, hitting, defense, catching, high school, junior college. We feel really good about the guys we got. There's a lot of them here. I said, when someone asked me the question when I got the job, what's your recruiting philosophy? How are you going to do this? And we said we wanted to dominate Southern Arizona, the state of Arizona. California's always been an important place. Northern California, as you can see with our current roster, Sacramento's always been a big place for the recent signees, and then to be nationwide. So we've tried to do that with this class, and we're very, very happy with the kids we've gotten.
Thanks, Coach. Go ahead with questions.
So as you mentioned, you came in July, and at that point you're trying to keep the current roster together.
Right.
And then I remember there was talk about like this class and this class and this class. So can you just sort of describe what the process was in putting this particular 21-22 class together?
Right. Yeah. Number one, obviously, like you said, we were really scrambling to just get the current roster right and figure out who was going to stay, who was going to go. Who was going to show up from the high school ranks. So that was our first order of business. And then it was this class. And, yeah, we had a lot of kids that, were very skeptical. They didn't know me yet. Obviously, they knew of what I've done in the game. They knew of my history here at the university. And it was interesting because a lot of the kids that we talked to, and the parents especially, were like, well, how long are you going to be there? That was really a big question. And it was legitimate at that time because, you had a coach that just left. Once we got that clear that, hey, I'm here for the long haul, this is my destination job, this is my dream, we were able to get a lot of those kids back. But that was probably the second order. And then to go out and just sort of recruit some of my own guys that I'd never, that had never really been in contact with the university. And we got after that and had a good time doing it. And I've said this before, and if you've read things I've said in the media before, it takes a special kid to come here and play. It's not just the kids, it's the family, and they're going to be hard workers. They're going to go, they're going to have to compete. And the more kids that we can sign on this year and the following years, the more competition we can create. And for me, that's how you make a team better. When you go out there for the fall program and pretty much what your starting lineup's going to be going into the spring, it's great because it's not a whole lot of decisions. But on the other hand, you'd like a fight at every position. You'd like that third baseman or shortstop to be fighting with a young guy or a JC guy coming in, and then all of a sudden you find he's a tick better every day than he was before. So we're trying to create that competition.
The recruiting part is the thing that you didn't have the experience in compared to everything else. How weird has that been trying,
Right.
one, getting to pick your players, and two, getting to having to convince them that you're the right one as opposed to just being handed a roster of...
Right. No, I wouldn't say weird. I think Trip Couch, who came to us from South Carolina, has been doing this so many years, and Dave has been doing it a long time. that they educated me real fast. And, just getting out, the first thing I did, I went to Georgia and watched the PBR games at Lake Point, Georgia, and it was amazing to see, especially to see our Arizona team, the kids from Arizona, and that was the younger guys. So it wasn't the 22s, it was more the 23s, 24s, and 25s. And just to see the talent that we have in the state and to get after it sort of gave me a little taste of it. And then we started getting into the 22s and calling and contacting, and we're very blessed here because there's a lot of tournaments in the state, and when they're done with their tournament, they can come down here and sort of unofficially look at the campus and see what it's like, and you get to talk to them a little bit. So we got after it. We were on the phone constantly. Like I said, everybody's like, "Oh, you're home. It's great. You get to sleep in your own bed." That's true, but my wife kept asking me, "Are you going to come home before bed at some point?" So there was a long time where I wasn't home till 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night.
Of the new guys that you recruited that had not had contact with U of A prior to you being there, did you flip any of those guys from other schools?
Well, no, our sport's a little different. Now, we hope that this is how it is. It's sort of a gentleman's agreement where if somebody's committed, so there's 24s right now, you go on social media, you'll see kids that are freshmen, and so we just had a freshman from somewhere commit the other day. And so you're not, we don't talk to those kids. We don't back channel. And that's kind of an honor code. And is it happening everywhere? I don't know. We'll find out. But so when a kid is committed somewhere, until he is uncommitted and his representative, his advisor, his high school coach, his summer coach calls us and says, "Hey, he's not committed to that school anymore. He's open game," then we'll get in there. So, yeah, there were some kids that did decommit from their schools. And this is what happens in our sport. Baseball's different now. When you commit as a freshman in high school and now as a junior you grow 6, 7 inches and start throwing 10 miles an hour harder, instead of maybe, you're committed to a mid-major, now all of a sudden a Pac-12 school looks a little more alluring, or a SEC or ACC. So it does happen where kids will decommit and then they're open game. And we did have a few of those, yes. Yes.
10 of the 19 players are from Arizona.
Yes.
Was that a point of emphasis?
Well, like I said, we're going to get the best players that are out there that we feel can be Wildcats and have that mindset. And, a lot of them were already committed here, and we had to kind of talk them back into it. But other ones, I told you I wanted to get the best of the state, especially Southern Arizona, and we felt like we got some good ones. Yeah, we're happy with it.
I think eight pitchers and 11 position players and 3 catchers. What went into sort of figuring out how much of each position? Is that projecting who's going to leave, what the roster looks like?
Well, the first order of business is just try to get the best talent you can get. Okay, and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, let me see, Daniel Susak, for example, he's our catcher this year, right? There's a good chance Daniel's going to be a first-round pick. We hope that we do our job and we get him out there and he plays like he did last year. There's a good chance he's going to probably sign. So now all of a sudden we're looking at, do we need a legitimate guy that can come in here and get behind the plate and catch? We have a few guys that are at school now that we feel can develop into that, but let's get 2 or 3 more. So we ended up, getting, I think, really 4 guys that have caught, and one that we've, that's is a legitimate just catcher. The other guys probably could play other positions. So, we sort of targeted that position. We have a lot of outfielders right now, so the outfield position wasn't as important. But again, when you get a person that can change the game and can come in as a freshman and start, you're never gonna turn away from that.
So these guys sign in November, but they're not going to be here till at the earliest maybe June or something like that.
Yes.
When they graduate
Yeah.
And all that. And at that point, if things have changed with them, they could get drafted.
Right.
What do you do to stay in contact with them? Like now they're locked in, so to speak, but what do you do as far as the communication to keep, like, are you involved with like their development even though they're not here? Like in terms of suggestions of what they should be doing with club teams or anything?
Well, now that they've signed their letters, Yeah, we can get involved. We can place them in summer ball programs. The great thing about, college baseball now is different than when I played. When I played, you were a senior in high school, you played on your summer ball team, and you showed up at Arizona in August for school, and you started practicing. Now, we just had a couple kids that we're placing on a team in Salt Lake City for the summer. So it's a college level summer league that they'll get to go play in. So it's pretty cool for them. It's cool for us to go out. They play against better competition. So yeah, there is some involvement. Obviously, we have one of the best academic support systems in college sports. So we were able to help them with all the different intricacies of enrolling and those things like that. So yeah, we give them a little help, and if they have questions, we're constantly calling them because we have to start recruiting against the draft. That's the next phase. And we have some guys on here who are going to get drafted. And we have to convince them that, it's better for them to come here and continue development. A lot like Daniel Susak did. He's a prime example of a player who could have signed out of high school. But there's a lot more. If you look at the major leagues, there's a lot better chance of getting there to the major leagues if you do your time in college. Go as a junior, if you're a draft eligible sophomore, great. You're just more developed at that point.
College World Series. The Cats versus Wild
Yes.
World Series is this weekend?
It is.
Is that the end of fall?
That'll be it'll be the end of our team phase. Yeah, we'll still have some time to do some skill stuff.
What have you learned about your club over the past
Well,
month plus?
Yeah, very competitive. We are you can keep 40 players this year. Again, it's a little bit of the COVID rules. It used to be 35. It's going to be 40 for this year and next year. The one thing is just depth. It's tough. We only have, I think, 36 or 37 now. So we have a lot of guys that can play different positions. We've moved them around a lot between the outfield and first base. All the middle infielders can play all over, and that's important. And just really highly competitive group, which I expected. I've said this numerous times, talking about culture, and a lot of times you go into these jobs and you have to change the culture of the group. That's not been a problem here. It's a winning group. It's kids who have been to Omaha. Now, and were they frontline players on that Omaha team? A few of them were. The rest of them were just a step behind those guys, and now they're getting their opportunity.
Back to recruiting for
Yes.
a moment. With the reduction of minor league franchises around the country, could that be a positive for college baseball?
No doubt. I believe, once Major League Baseball and the players figure out their basic agreement, I think there'll be a lot of talk with the two groups. It's 20 rounds of the draft, and that's probably going to stay that way. We're almost another level now, Brian. I really believe that. I think if kids come here and play at the high level that the Pac-12 is, they have a better chance to move right out into Double-A. Whether they go to A-ball for a week and then go to Double-A, they're closer to the big leagues. So I do think it's going to help.
You mentioned one of the questions that you got earlier, but what were some of the other questions that families and recruits had for you throughout this process?
Well, it's everything. It's what kind of degree programs do you have? The schools. It's very interesting the different ones you get from everybody. It's some are really school oriented. Some are just strictly on the baseball side of it. Facilities, fans. How many fans do you guys draw? So you have to educate them on everything.
What player or handful of players developed the most, would you say, over the course of the fall? Who made the most progress?
Well, we're obviously the one position that we're wide open was second base. So I feel like all those Garen Caulfield, Jack Green, Luis Tuero are, they're in a race for it, and they've all developed really, really well. Now, Garen and Jack can go over and play short and third, which helps them a lot. So I think, if you talk about that, probably the biggest development we've had is Noah Turley at first base. He'd been mostly a DH at Yavapai, and he's put his time in, and he's really learned the position. And I think he legitimately can stand over there and play a really good first base for us.
Who's been unable to participate fully?
Well, Mac Bingham's had some injury issues that, if we wanted to push it, he would have played, but I know how good of a player he is, how important he is to the team, so we've really pretty much kept him out of game competition, but he'll be ready for the spring.
Is there anybody else?
Just Chandler Murphy had a little bit of soreness, so again, those are players that we know are Omaha caliber players that once we had a little bit of a ding up in baseball, we just shut them down and let them get ready for the spring.
What did you make of the way that the guys drafted?
It went, you know what, it went pretty much like we thought. One team took most of all the infielders, so now, for example, Tony Bullard's going to have to play shortstop on one team, and he's, a third baseman, but he can do it, and he'll, in the shift, the way we'll play defense, in the left-handed shift, he'll be at the shortstop a lot anyway, so it'd be interesting to see him there.
Do we have any more questions for Coach? Great, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.